All right, this first alert weather day continues. We had a tornado warning in Marathon County, but things are changing rapidly. Let's get over to meteorologist David Ernst.
Chris, we have a new tornado warning issued. It's a little farther south. It's this notch you see here into Waupaca County. So north of this, there is a severe thunderstorm that we've been talking about. Essentially, that one is going into parts of Shawano and Menominee County. But what we're seeing here is the rotation with this thunderstorm here to the northeast of Iola. And so anytime you get the red and the green right next to each other, that would indicate that we're starting to see some spin. So new tornado warning here, northern Waupaca County. Storm is moving to the east at, let's see if I can get the text here. Moving to the east, don't have it popped up just yet. Most storms have been moving around 35, 40 miles per hour. So down the line here, anybody south of Marion, Clintonville, between essentially Manawa and Marion, and then over towards the Clintonville area, that is where this storm is going to be tracking. You need to get into your safe place anywhere in northern Waupaca County. This storm is going to be tracking into your area. It has the potential for damaging wind gusts, moving to the east at 45 miles per hour. I saw some spotters in the area. No one has reported seeing anything. This is a radar indicated tornado, but again, you need to take it seriously. These types of storms could spin something up very quickly, and we do have that familiar radar signature there. The green would indicate winds that are going towards the Green Bay radar, the red indicating the winds going away. So let's take a closer look here, and we'll start calling out some streets in the path of this Big Falls area. So looking at County Road 00 here and anywhere in northern central parts of Waupaca County. This is where the storm is headed. On the radar product here, you can definitely make out a little bit of a notch in northwestern Waupaca County, and again, this is a very dangerous storm with that possible rotation. It could spin a tornado up at any minute, and I see a new tornado warning just issued here into Menominee County. So we'll zoom in and take a closer look at that one, almost right over the Kashina area. We can certainly see the hook on that. The velocity data doesn't jump out too much, but you can definitely pick out a little bit of what we would call a couplet. Again, you see that red on the northeast side of Kashina and the green right through Kashina. So this storm literally is in the heart of Kashina right now. Anybody on County Road V east of Kashina, southern parts of Menominee County, get into that safe place. It's a basement, room without windows. You want to get to the lowest level of your home, an interior room somewhere without windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you can, and wait this storm out. It does have the potential of producing a tornado, again, with the signature that we are seeing. So anybody in southern parts of of Menominee County, that is where this storm is going to be headed, and we will continue to keep a very close eye on that. That's right over Kashina as we speak, tracking just to the north of the Menominee and the Shawano County line. So if you're in the path of this storm or the Waupaca County storm, so the two areas that I'm highlighting that we are concerned with right now are going to be north parts of Waupaca County, right along the Shawano line there, and then as you get into southern sections of Menominee County, and if you're in southwestern Oconto, I would definitely be getting into that safe place as well, north of Cecil there, and to the west of Underhill and Gillette. So anybody that is along that line, Highway 64, you're going to want to get into that safe place. Again, put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as you can. Think lowest level. If you don't have a basement available, that's when you get into those closets, bathrooms. You can get into the bathtub. That will provide good shelter. And something else to keep in mind if you're in the path of these storms, if your kids have a bicycle helmet or something like that, a lot of the traumatic injuries that we see in these types of scenarios involve head injuries. So you can put that bicycle or motorcycle helmet on, a football helmet, anything like that. And we would certainly recommend that you do that and get into your safe place. Emily?
Yeah, thanks, David. And we're getting regrouped over here now that we have these tornado warnings. So I'll talk about this a little bit while David gets logged in and set up on his green screen over there. So again, if you are just tuning in, we are tracking two separate tornado warnings across our area, one of which is in Kashina right now, and this is headed in the direction of Underhill. So pulling back up this actual warning here, this area near Kashina, it looks like we're seeing some rotation, of course, and then we're looking, I'm trying to pull up this text really quickly. Okay, so this is moving east at around 45 miles an hour, so we can go ahead and, of course, track this out. So with this one here, we're looking at about 45, which actually I have to zoom out on this one a bit more. But as this continues to push out, the next places that we'll be keeping a very close eye on, Oconto Falls. Of course, this is a little bit more downstream of this. Same with Suring. That's around 555. And so right now, 521 right now, and we do have, again, these two separate tornado warnings. We also, towards our north here, again, excuse me, we're trying to grab our bearings here really quickly. There we go. So with this one, again, this more southern tornado warning that we're tracking. So this one here, headed towards Clintonville, Marion. You guys are all going to be next in line for this storm as it continues to push in. I'm going to actually zoom in a lot closer here. So Big Falls right now is likely going to be where we're seeing the tightest of this rotation. So let's clear off some of the screen here, if it'll let me, which it's not. Switching this over to our velocity here. So as David was talking about, generally when we're looking at velocity, we're looking for that green and that red super close together. And when we do see that happen, that's usually an indication that we're seeing some pretty tight rotation. So on this one here, we don't necessarily have that red and that green so close together, but we can still see where that color is a bit different, especially where we see those gray colors there. So that's indicating to us that we see some tight rotation. So again, zooming back in on this one here, we're looking at around Town Hall Road, headed towards Wilkie Road, Hyde Road, and this will be heading in the direction of Buckbee right now. Marion, you guys are all going to be next in line for this warning as it continues to push through. So then looking a little bit more out, Clintonville, you'll be also next in line. So regrouping just a little bit, I'm going to clear the screen off here and then switch this back over to that tornado warning towards the north here. So this is that other one, again, near Kashina. This one has a little bit more of a defined, what we call couplet. So again, that green and that red next to each other there. I'm going to get the screen set up. We'll send it back to David to continue tracking this.
And that's the storm we're looking at right here that you were just speaking about. So again, it's southern parts of Kashina, around Kashina, excuse me, southern parts of Menominee County. This storm is moving to the east at around 45 miles per hour. So down the line here into Underhill within the next 10 minutes, Gillett 15 minutes from now. And if it holds together, could get along the Highway 141 corridor right there within about the next 20 to 30 minutes. So take the storm seriously. Anybody that's in southern parts of Menominee County, western central Oconto County, you will want to get into that safe area. The storms are producing some very heavy rainfall. You may see the storm in advance. Obviously, it's going to be looking very, very dark out to the west, but given the heavy rainfall that we're experiencing with this storm, you're likely not to see a tornado in there. So you need to take it seriously, even though you may not have the visual confirmation that there is, in fact, a tornado. We are also tracking the potential for damaging straight line winds outside of any tornado threat, and that can do just as much damage and likely over a more widespread area than what you would face just from a tornado alone. So along this line, this was a pretty powerful storm that could produce 65 mile per hour wind gusts. So you're talking about, again, the potential for downed trees, power lines. We are going to be looking at this whole wave, this whole line of storms continuing to work its way eastward across the area. We'll zoom back out and go and touch base again on the storm now approaching the Clintonville area. So we have 2 tornado warnings, and then along this entire line, there is the possibility for those wind gusts upwards of 60 miles per hour, especially where you're getting into that rotation where we are seeing those tornadoes. So we'll take a closer look here. And it looks like we're just to the west side of Clintonville, and this storm is moving almost due east. So anybody that's in the Clintonville area, especially on the west side of town, Highway 45 coming out of town, anyone that's in this vicinity, get into your safe area. This storm, it definitely has that classic hook on the radar. We'll see if there's anything that shows up right now from a perspective of debris being wafted into the air. I don't see anything there, so that's a good sign. But again, there's very heavy rainfall associated with these storms, and it's likely that any tornado would be sitting just here to the south of DuPont, and that is going to be rain wrapped. So moving to the east down the line here, right on into the Clintonville area, within, well, I'll have to zoom the map back out just a little bit to get the storm track on here. These storms are not racing through the area, but they're still moving at about 40, 45 miles per hour. So there's not going to be a lot of lead time as it's approaching. They're not slow moving, but they are nonetheless coming on through. So we'll put our storm track on this again, moving at around 40 to 45 miles per hour. So down the line here, Clintonville within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Seymour, if this storm holds together, getting into sections of Outagamie County to the north of Appleton, would be moving in within the next half an hour or so. And this storm line will be approaching the west side of Green Bay within the hour. Now, the rotation may not hold together as long as that, but these storms have a history of cycling, at least the storm to the north does, where it will look pretty ominous on radar, and then things will kind of spread out and the storm weakens a little bit and then it tightens back up. And so definitely be on the lookout in the Green Bay area, or anybody that is west of Green Bay along Highway 54 and north of that. You will want to pay attention to these storms as they approach. So this entire storm line here has a severe thunderstorm warning along it. There's the potential for damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour. And you could also see, in some instances, some large hail associated with these storms. We have had, at least showing up on the radar, quarter size or larger hail out of the storm in Menominee County. A little bit smaller hail signature coming there along the Shawano and Waupaca County line with that thunderstorm. But we are going to continue to keep a close eye on both of these thunderstorms and along this line. Let's go ahead and again we'll go tight, take a closer look and just see how things are progressing here into southern Menominee County. The storm was right over Kashina as the warning was issued, and I do see the bright spot on here. You've got your reds would indicate winds that are going away from the radar, and the green winds going towards it. And where you see that little speck of blue, the wind there even stronger than the rest of the green around. So we're definitely seeing some rotation here, and this will be moving right towards the Underhill area and right in line with Gillett. Coming down the line here again in the next 10 to 20 minutes, moving into those parts of Oconto County. So take this storm seriously. Heavy rainfall. There will be some hail associated with it as well, but we are going to be watching this one very closely as we go through time here, as it has a history of rotating, I should say, as this was the original storm that prompted a tornado warning back into Marathon County before we were on the air here on Action 2 News. So it loosened up, weakened some, but still capable of producing those damaging wind gusts, and we have seen the rotation tighten back up with that cell, as well as the one down to the south into Waupaca County. So both very dangerous storms, and they are going to be moving eastward at about 45 miles per hour. So down the line here, north of Seymour, I would say, Angelica, and essentially anybody that is along the Shawano and Outagamie County line, that is going to be where this particular thunderstorm is tracking. And on the velocity product here, you're not seeing as much of that couplet anymore, which is a good sign, but you do still see what we would call that little inflow notch, which would definitely indicate that we still have some rotation going on with this thunderstorm. We have not had any reports come through just yet. The storm itself is a strong one. There will be the possibility for some gusty winds, perhaps 50, 60 miles per hour along that, and we will see, I'm just being told that we're looking at our... Yeah, you can see a little bit of clutter along that. It's possible that is some debris. It could be inflow coming in. We'll take a closer look here and sample that for you. Just to see what we have going on with our storm in Kashina. Of course, this is, I should say, it's not in Kashina at this point. The storm is moving on from Kashina into sections of Menominee County. A lot of trees, wooded area out this way. And so it is possible if this storm would kick something up, but where that debris or where that signature was, you're kind of on the inflow side of the storm, so I would say that that's more of an indicator that we have some strong winds feeding into this. Gusty winds, again, on the order of 50, 60 miles per hour expected with this thunderstorm. We are going to continue to monitor this one with that rotation that's picking up. I'll go ahead and put a query on this just to see how fast those winds are moving. Try and get it right over the strongest part there. Of course, we'll have to move the map back out. So let's see. We're looking at the wind. There we go. So 60 miles per hour inbound and lesser than that, but still you're looking at about 70 miles an hour of shear along that. So you're right in line with a severe thunderstorm or an EF1 tornado if there were one, or an EF0, excuse me, on the ground. That's, again, more than enough to create down trees, power lines, could do some damage to homes. So take the storm seriously. Get into that lowest level of your home, a basement if you have it. That is the safest place to be. If you do not have a basement available, then what you'll want to do is get into that low level ground floor, interior room, put as many walls between you and the outside as you can, and wait this storm out as it approaches. You're not going to be able to likely see much coming at you. It will be a lot of heavy rainfall associated with this particular thunderstorm and all of these, and we still see that not showing up. So anytime you get that signature on the radar, it definitely draws your eye to it as a forecaster. So moving to the east, this is going to be pushing right along Highway 22 here towards the O'Connell Falls, or passing just north of O'Connell Falls with the strongest part of this storm. We'll go ahead and zoom it back out here and put another storm track on this and time this one out as the storm continues to make its way right through portions of Menominee and into O'Connell County. Emily, anything to add?
Yeah, David, just kind of going off of what you were saying there, giving you a moment to reset. What we're seeing here on our Viper Max is this rotation indicator. So this just popped up. We're seeing some circulation, of course, going off of everything David said, but this additional product now on our radar that is indicating that there could be some kind of tight rotation there, which is very evident, again, on the storm relative velocity, or this velocity. As we were talking about, we're always looking for that green and that red very close together. And on this one, there's actually a couple of other colors being brought in there too. And so again, this is that area of concern, and I'm actually going to zoom in even closer on this and see if I can clear off the circulation, which it looks like it's not going to let me do. We are going to again be looking at this one. So zooming in more here, this is just near Heinz, and continuing on towards the east here. So I can actually zoom in even more and pull out some actual road names here. So again, Heinz, excuse my pronunciation, Weber Lane right now, County Road H headed towards Simon Road, County Road V, State Highway 32N. I always like to kind of shout out some of these road names because if you're, say, listening to us right now and you might not have the visual that we have, if any of these roads sound familiar to you, this is headed your way. So you need to be making it again into that safe place. Also nearby, we have Underhill. That's another area that's kind of right in line here. So again, County Road V, we're looking at Town Hall Road, again, Mosling Road, Old 22 Road, State Highway 22, and if you're not necessarily in this exact area, that might not necessarily mean anything to you. But again, not everybody is able to be watching us right now, so you might be listening via the radio, via something else, social media. So again, this is indicating that there is some fairly strong rotation potentially, and of course, very, very strong winds associated with this too. It looks like this warning was just updated to kind of shave out some of the area that this is already pushed through, and it looks like in this recent scan that that velocity has backed off a little bit too, which is certainly good news, but we can't let our guard down quite yet. Let's talk a little bit about this one more towards the south. Clintonville, this is right on top of you right now. So again, looking at this velocity, you can see there just towards the south of Clintonville, that area of those brighter reds, and that's generally going to be indicating the strongest wind gusts that we're seeing with this and that strongest potential rotation associated with this one too. Looks like in this new scan that's actually even more clear. You can see that very clear, what we call couplet, again, that red and that green, just towards the south of Clintonville. And so I'm actually going to zoom in even more and pull out some road names for this one here. So this looks like this is right around County Road D, again, just to the south of Clintonville, County Road 1, or County Road I, rather, excuse me, Airport Road, Clough Road, County Road D, Willow Road. This is where this is. So if you are in this area, you need to be making it to your safe place at this point. Again, we are seeing some fairly strong rotation associated with that storm, and of course, similar situation with this one up north. Looks like on this latest radar scan, this actually has intensified, it looks like again. So closer to Gillett at this point, Underhill, this is right on top of you. You need to be making it into that safe place. And again, just a reminder towards basement. Basement's going to be your best bet, away from any exterior walls, away from any exterior windows, and the furthest interior room that you can possibly do. David, what are you seeing?
Good advice there, Emily, and I just want to kind of reset the stage. We focused on the 2 tornado warned storms, but this entire line is capable of producing damaging winds. I can see a little bowing segment out here just into northern sections of Oconto County. That's going to be moving eastward, so we're continuing to watch the potential for gusty winds, damaging wind gusts in excess of 60 miles per hour along this storm line. I'm going to move this I'll cover Clintonville for just a second, just to time out this particular cluster. Oconto Falls, even if there's not the tornado that holds together towards your area, which you are in line to see where this storm is headed, it would likely pass towards Oconto Falls or just to the north of Oconto Falls, that tornado warned portion of the storm, if that rotation can maintain. But even outside of the rotation, we likely do see some 60, maybe 65 mile per hour wind gusts, so that would be in line and could do the same kind of damage that you would anticipate from an EF0 tornado towards the Brazo area as well. We're looking at the possibility for those gusty winds. You can see a little bowing cluster of the storm line there. So anytime you see those winds surging out or the rain look like it's moving out ahead of the main line, that is the wind pushing the rain out ahead of that main line. And so we would expect some very strong gusty winds along that line. And you have just seen the National Weather Service extending the severe thunderstorm warnings to now include all of Oconto County, the rest of Oconto County, as well as the southern half of Marinette County. This does include Marinette, Peshtigo. So this entire storm line is producing, or capable, I should say, of producing those damaging wind gusts, which again could be in excess of 60, 65 miles per hour. And we're starting to see the winds surge out of the storm there that we have the tornado warning for coming into Oconto County. This is going to be approaching the Gillett area. Even if there's no tornado, given the look of the product here as this moves into Gillett, we likely have some very strong winds down the line here, Oconto Falls. The tornado warning has not been extended. If there were a tornado, you'd expect to find it very near the Gillett area, so I don't see the new warning coming down. But again, we have the severe thunderstorm warning in place. Likely that we do have some winds right in Gillett right now, and this will go right along Highway 22, right down Oconto Falls. So anybody between Gillett, Oconto Falls, get into that safe place. Even if there's not a tornado, this could still bring trees down, limbs. So get into your basement if you have one available. If there's no basement available, then an interior closet, a bathroom, as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and try to avoid a room that has windows. Get into one of those, interior closet. If you have a 2-story home, closets under a staircase work very well. If kids are home, if they've got bicycle helmets, go ahead and put those on as you're getting into the safe place. That will help protect you from any flying debris that may come crashing through. As again, we have some signature here of some very strong straight line winds. We're a little bit to the north of the Green Bay radar, so we probably won't get a too good of sampling of how strong those winds are with the radar, just because of how the storm is moving in proportion or in proximity to that radar. I can see on the north side of this, where we have that rotation, that you could see things a little bit brighter. But notice how much that jumped in one scan. The storms look like they may be picking up speed a little bit. Earlier motion had been around 40, 45 miles per hour. This may be speeding up just a touch as this storm has initially it formed out ahead of the main line, and now it's kind of been absorbed into the storm line. So very strong winds coming down Highway 22, heading right towards the Oconto Falls area. I would say within the next 10 minutes, this storm is going to be in Oconto Falls. And do want to touch base on our other tornado warned storm here down to the south, as we do still see that warning ongoing. This storm was approaching the Clintonville area. Possible tornado looked like it would be Clintonville or just on the south side of Clintonville. The wind signatures here are looking a little bit less intense, but again, this is still going to be a strong thunderstorm regardless of a tornado. Still looking at some very strong straight line winds coming out of this, anywhere from Clintonville down towards the Bear Creek area, and this is going to be moving right into northern Outagamie County and essentially tracking just along the Outagamie and the Shawano County line. So the core of this storm, Cicero, Angelica, I'd be on the lookout for this coming through. Regardless of whether that tornado warning gets extended, this is still an intense thunderstorm that you need to take seriously, as straight line winds can do just as much damage as your lower end tornadoes. So we're not looking at an outbreak of tornadoes today, but we have seen some rotation on the leading edge of this storm line, and we're definitely seeing some stronger wind signatures coming out of it, especially the farther north you go there into Oconto and what would be moving into parts of Marinette County. So Gillett, and then it moved through the Breed area. We'll go ahead, I'll put my map a little farther to the north, and we'll kind of highlight some of those areas in line to see the straight line winds. The two parts of the storm line that I'm really focused on in terms of the gusty wind potential here. You see a bowing segment in north central parts of Oconto County, and then you see the other one right along the Shawano-Oconto County line, just moved through the Gillett area. We'll go ahead and zoom in and take a little closer look in on those two particular clusters and just kind of hone in on those areas. So Highway 64 here, you're looking at this going to be getting into places like Pound and Coleman. You would expect to see some of those stronger winds there in western parts of Marinette County, again right along Highway 64, and then the core of the storm here coming out of it was just over the Gillett area, did have the tornado warning there, and we just saw the tornado warning extended. I do see a little bit more of a knot showing up, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at the rotation aspect of this storm. And this is, again, like we were talking about, heading right down Highway 22, right towards Oconto Falls. We'll turn the reflectivity off and take a look at the winds, and you can see a very strong couplet here. So when I say couplet, we're talking about the bright red and the bright green right next to each other, and you see that right around the Gillett area. So if there's a tornado, this is where it's going to be, right out ahead of that. And remember, these storms are moving at 40, 50 miles per hour, so they're going to be out a little farther ahead of where our radar shows it. So we're past Gillett at this point. There's Highway 32 coming up, so the core of that storm where that tornado would be if we're on the ground would be just west of Oconto Falls, right there along Highway 32 and where Highway 22 meet. So this is going to be tracking to the east and moving right towards the Oconto Falls area. Anybody that's on that Highway 22 corridor, north, south, a couple miles, get into your safe place right now. We've been saying it throughout the afternoon as these storms have moved in, that you want to put as many walls between you and the outside of your home. A lot of trees in these areas, and those strong winds can certainly wreak havoc on that. We've had a lot of heavy rainfall recently, and that can help to loosen the soil up. So just something else to keep in mind as these storms are approaching. Take them seriously. Yes, we are talking about the possibility for a tornado with this storm coming out of Gillett, moving towards Oconto Falls. But anywhere along this storm line, we've got the potential for those gusty winds. We've had warnings along this storm line for winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. The bowing segment out here, even if there's not a tornado, there are some very strong winds right there along Highway 22. Emily?
David. So I do have a tracker on this one to zoom in a little bit closer, and this does pull up sometimes individual neighborhoods. So if you are in this area, certainly be making it to your safe place. So with this one, this has just made it through Gillett. Next up, Kellybrook, around 547. It is 543 right now. Spruce, 548. Oconto Falls, 549. Again, this is moving pretty quickly, around 45 miles an hour. So other ones we have Stiles Junction, 555, Lena, 555, Stiles, 555, Brookside, 6 o'clock, Pensauke, 6:04. So that's kind of the next 20-ish minutes that it'll be making your way towards there. And then looking a little bit more ahead, Oconto, 6:06, Peshtigo, you're around 6:16. So that's getting a little bit further out there, but remember, this is moving very, very quickly. And if you are not in the direct path of this, but you are maybe a little bit further towards our east here, especially towards Oconto, now is the time to be starting to make those steps towards your safe place. Putting shoes on, as David mentioned, a bicycle helmet, any other type of sports helmet, great option to protect yourself from any flying debris. Again, I always recommend that if you're near, especially in this warning, put some sturdy shoes on. That is a really good way to keep yourself safe as well. And then, of course, just a reminder, reminder of that safe place, the lowest level of the building that you're in, preferably a basement, but we don't all have basements. So if you don't have that basement, again, lowest level, away from doors and windows, away from those exterior walls. Usually for most of us, that does mean closet, bathroom. If you're in an apartment building, be making it to the lowest level. Very often under a staircase is a good option, or maybe in the hallway of your apartment building. Another one that's really important is that if you're in a mobile home or a manufactured home, you need to be getting out of it, getting into a sturdy shelter, a sturdy building somewhere else. And these are very fast moving, so those are those things that you need to be thinking about. Again, mobile homes, manufactured homes, not going to be a safe place to be in any of these storms, especially these potential tornadoes. So very important to be getting out of it and making your way towards a more sturdy storm shelter. So I'm going to clear this off really quickly. It looks like as of now, this is that one warning that we do have. And we'll be continuing to monitor this one, of course. And David, are you seeing anything new here?
Well, the only thing that happened is we did see the warning dropped, at least for the time being, for the storm that's coming into Outagamie County. We are seeing that rotation loosened up some, but that does not mean it can't tighten back up. That's exactly what happened with that dangerous storm that we've been tracking through the Gillette area and into Oconto County. It initially had a tornado warning back into Marathon County, weakened as it was coming into Shawano County, tightened back up right over Kashina, and we continue to see that signature there on the radar. I always like to check and see if we have anything that pops out here from a debris standpoint. Not seeing anything, so that is a good sign, but still doesn't mean that there's not a tornado on the ground. This could certainly spin something up very quickly, and in fact, I did see some very strong wind signatures along it, so we'll zoom in and take a closer look at it. This is certainly the most intense part of the storm, but actually before I do that, I do want to point one other thing out that I'm seeing on the radar here. You've got the notch where we could have that possible tornado, but you'll notice as you go from Oconto County right in along the Highway 22 corridor, and then it bends back. Wherever you see those bowing structures coming out of that storm, that is indication you've got some very strong winds surging out ahead of the main line, and the core of that is right along Highway 22 here. So Oconto Falls and down the line Oconto, anywhere along that Highway 22 area. From the west of Oconto Falls, basically from Gillette through Oconto Falls and Oconto. That's where it looks like the core of the strongest winds are tracking right now. So you will definitely want to get into that safe place. Oh, move the wrong map there. So we'll zoom back in and take a close-up look now at that the rotation and the bowing segment of that storm line. Again, that is the most formidable part of this storm right now, moving into Oconto Falls. So this is going to be something to take very seriously. It's right in Oconto Falls as we speak. Down the line, holds together, going right through Oconto. We will see the potential here for damaging winds in excess of 60, 65 miles per hour. And down the line, if this holds together, that goes right into the Oconto area. So I want to sample the wind here of what we're seeing on our system, as earlier on I saw wind upwards of, I'll put the one on the other side first. So 47 miles per hour, and then coming back towards the storm, or away from the storm, excuse me, 29. So you add that up and you're looking at, potentially maybe 70, 75, 80 miles an hour of wind shear along that. So there's definitely a very powerful thunderstorm heading right through Oconto Falls, and it looks like the core of it may be along 22 or just to the north of that. So anybody in the path here, get into your safe area and wait this storm out. Allow it to pass overhead before you take a peek and see what happened, as this is a very dangerous storm cell moving through southern Oconto County. But even outside of this, north and south, you're still in the line to see those damaging straight line winds, because there is a severe thunderstorm warning along this entire line. That severe warning now extending all the way down to pick up the storm that was tornado warned there through Clintonville. So this is northern Outagamie County, all the way up through the central part of Marinette County. So this will include everybody from Clintonville over towards Shawano, Pulaski, Bonduel, Oconto Falls. You're dealing with the core of the storm right now, but Oconto, Marinette, Peshtigo, anybody from really the Crivets and Wasaki area southward in Marinette County in line to see this storm. And when you have the map zoomed out, you can definitely see the bowing part of this storm going through really the southern half of Oconto County is where the most intense part of this storm line is. There's a possible tornado near Oconto Falls and then damaging straight line winds extending out of this storm. So even if there's no tornado, there is still that wind potential. So anybody that is in line with this in southern Oconto County, definitely get into that safe area, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to shield yourself from any flying debris, falling debris that could come through. We're going to continue to keep a very close eye on this thunderstorm in particular, but this entire line is certainly going to be possible of producing those damaging winds. Now, farther back to the west, we're seeing things breaking up, so that's a good sign that maybe as we go deeper into the evening that this is going to be it in terms of severe weather and the potential for it. We'll obviously be monitoring the storm line as it continues moving in. Down the line here, if something were to make it to Oshkosh, everything is moving about due west to east. So you'd have to head back here to where I-90 and 94 split. The storms that are there would be those in line to make it to Oshkosh and Outagamie County, or excuse me, Winnebago County. So you're not seeing those move in short order. So anybody at Air Venture, things are dangerous to your north, but right now at least, and for the immediate future, there is no immediate threat. Everything is going to be ongoing to the north where we are seeing the most significant problems. So to reset the situation here, we have a cluster of severe thunderstorms coming in northern Outagamie County, eastern Shawano County, and Oconto and Marinette counties. Down the line here, this certainly could be impacting areas of Door County. So if you're in Sturgeon Bay, the tornado warned part of this storm is likely headed towards your area or just north of Sturgeon Bay there in Door County. But this entire cluster of storms will make a pass through the Green Bay area. If you're watching from De Pere, Wrightstown, Kaukauna, a little farther south, it may take a little longer for the storm line to make it towards your area, but I would say anywhere on the west side of Green Bay and farther, really Green Bay, Hobart, Oneida, any of those areas, we would be looking at this storm line getting in here to your region within the next half an hour. So storms are moving at about 45 miles per hour. So you'll have very heavy rainfall accompanying this. There could be some hail. I have not checked the hail signatures lately, but we did have, as these warnings were initially coming out, the potential for quarter up to $half size hail. Maybe not quite as intense as that right now in Oconto Falls. And say you see a little hail signature there out of Clintonville. So perhaps the hail aspect of these storms is not as significant as it was earlier on, but continuing to track that dangerous straight line wind potential. We have a bowing cluster of storms coming through Oconto County, southern Oconto County in particular, looking at those coming on through. Farther to the north, we still have some pretty intense thunderstorm action ongoing, moving right into western Marinette County as we speak. There is, again, a severe thunderstorm warning in those areas, capable of 55, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. I'd say the most intense part of the storm is there towards the Oconto Falls area, or just now to the east of Oconto Falls, and that does have our tornado warning. So we'll take a closer look here at that cell. Again, it's been a little while since we've checked in on it. You can still see a little bit of that rotation, that notch that we look for on the reflectivity product. And when we turn the wind speeds on, we still see that very well-defined couplet. We're seeing that bright red and the bright green right next to each other, very close, very tight together, indicating that we still have some very strong rotation. This is right along Highway 141 and 22. So anybody, especially to the north of 22 along Highway 141, that's where the core of this storm is headed, and certainly going to be worried that there could be a tornado in the mix. We've seen some clutter on the notch, but where this lines up with the radar, I suspect that that's winds and debris going into the storm as opposed to a tornado, but that doesn't mean that we're not seeing a tornado with this particular thunderstorm. It could spawn one at any time given the wind product that we were just looking at. So the core of this is going to be right along Highway 22 here. Anyone between Oconto Falls and Oconto, especially if you're north of Highway 22, is where there could be the possible tornado, but we do see that bowing segment of winds, so I would expect strong winds in excess of 60 miles per hour all along this storm line from Oconto Falls over towards Oconto. So a very dangerous storm coming through right now. You definitely want to take it seriously as we continue to watch this entire line progress through the area. Heavy rainfall, a concern, and that is something we'll be monitoring as the potential for some localized flooding. As once this round of storms comes through, you still have heavy rainfall back off to the west to deal with as that storm line is approaching your area. I do want to now go back down farther to the south, and we'll kind of just bounce back and forth between the northern and southern lines of this thunderstorm to take a closer look at everything that we are seeing. And it's northern Outagamie County right now, just to the north of Appleton. Might be right around the Seymour area or approaching Seymour as we speak. So this is going to be coming right along Highway 54. Worst of it looks like it would stay to the north of Freedom, but if you're in the Freedom area or just north of there along Highway 55, get into your safe area as well. Wait this storm out. It did at one time have a tornado warning issued for it. We are looking at the rotation not nearly as well defined as it was earlier. So this is turning into more of just a straight line wind with that bowing action of the storm as we will continue to keep a very close eye on that. And joining us is Chief Meteorologist Steve Balon with an update. Steve.
Yeah, thank you, David. I just wanted to give you a breather since you're going so long here, and I wanted to just make sure you get some oxygen. Emily Mers and I are keeping an eye on that cell that you've been tracking. We continue this tornado warning until 6:15. And Emily, you could see we still have a little bit of some rotation. It doesn't seem quite as well put together as it was maybe about 15-20 minutes ago. But this tornado warned storm goes till 6:15. The circulating area that David's been tracking is just to the north of Stiles, and we have projected out the towns that are in the path of this cell that has some rotation. In general, it's kind of embedded in this squall line, which is moving off to the east and southeast at about 45 miles an hour. Coming over top of the Stiles area right now, holding together in the Pensaki area around 605, Ocano 605. And if it were to hold together, it could be pulling across the bay in towards Door County by the time we get towards the end of our 6 o'clock newscast, which may be partially or completely preempted depending on how this cell behaves. And so this storm has got a history of some strong straight line winds, perhaps an embedded tornado, and we've also seen some torrential rainfall with this line of thunderstorms coming in from the northwest, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is I have not seen any reports of flooding or anything like that yet. If you would you zoom in on that one really close for me? And again, just kind of calling out some of the street names here. Just south of Lena, we're just north of Stiles at this point. And with this one, again, headed towards Ocano. If you are in Ocano at this point, you need to be making it to your safe place. So we're looking at Lena, Stiles Junction, Stiles. These are all of those places that we're taking a look at here. And some very intense rainfall at times. We're also, if you would you switch it back over to velocity for me there?
Sure.
And again, as we've been tracking with that velocity, we have that red and that green so close together. When we see that, it's usually indicating what we call a couplet or a rotation. Yeah. So right now, the area of interest that's piquing my attention is near Lena. At this point, we have a couple of pixels there that are a little bit brighter than the rest. So just towards the south, just towards the north of Lena, that's kind of what we're looking at. But it does look like at this point that rotation is a little bit less tight than it was earlier, which is certainly good news. That being said, though, still some really intense winds with this one. So if you want to pull that Quarry tool back up, we can pull out some of these wind speeds. We're looking at 40 miles an hour, around 20-30 miles an hour in places too. So certainly very strong wind speeds associated with this, and honestly along that whole line too. So Steve, if you would zoom back out for me, and it looks like this new update just came in too, which really does highlight how quickly the system is moving. We're already moving much further towards the east there.
And I definitely kind of want to keep an eye on the hail situation as well. It isn't looking too bad right there in that area, but as we get back towards home, let's see here, there is a little bit of some hail with that cell that's moving through there, Ocano County. Let's see here. Let's see if we could stop the animation. So in around the Spruce area, it looks like we've got a little bit of some hail as well. It does not look like anything too big. It's probably at most an inch. Yeah, so this is, either at or just below an inch in diameter. So hail is present with this thunderstorm. That doesn't seem to be the primary feature, but it does seem like there is still some rotation. I will say, Emily, that usually when we're looking for a strong couplet, Yes, we see the red and the green together, but it's usually in these tornadic situations, there's a sharper delineation between the red and the green. This seems like there is rotation, but it's not as tight, it's not quite as organized. And
Right.
so it'll be interesting to see if the Weather Service continues this tornado warning beyond 6:15 or not. And it sounds like David's got some air and is ready to continue tracking on. What do you got there, David?
Yeah, well, we'll shift back in and talk about the southern part of this storm cell. This had a tornado warning issued for it back when it was towards the Clintonville area and maintains some intensity. It's not rotating as strongly, but you just saw the yellow box pop up. New severe thunderstorm warning issued. This one does include the rest of eastern Outagamie County that was not in this warning. Important to note, it is to the north of Appleton. Kaukauna, it looks like you're included in the warning, but the strongest part of this storm is going to stay to the north of Kaukauna as well. But down the line here, very close to the Wrightstown area, Wrightstown right along the Outagamie and Brown County line. So this storm will pass very near to you or just north, moving into Seymour as we speak, and likely that it would be into the west side of Green Bay here within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Storms are moving at about 45 miles per hour to the east and have been doing so all afternoon long. Heavy rainfall, strong winds expected. This particular warning likely for damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. The hail has not looked as pronounced as it did earlier on with this thunderstorm, but anybody that is along the Interstate 41 corridor here, get into your safe area, get away from windows, allow this storm to pass overhead as there will be the potential for winds gusting in excess of 60 miles per hour. But I would say along this entire line of storms, we're probably seeing widespread 40, 45 mile per hour wind gusts. So a very formidable line of storms. In fact, we'll go ahead and I always like to at some point reset the situation, kind of zoom out and just take a broad view of everything that we're dealing with. Storms are ongoing. Essentially, if you took a line from Appleton, we'll go with Highway 10 to the west. Everybody north of that is dealing with rain and thunder right now to some degree. We have the northern cluster of this storms certainly looks more formidable with those bowing winds going right into Oconto as we speak, and there's a possible tornado with that. But we do have the southern flank of this storm that has been producing some damaging gusty winds. And farther back to the west, no warnings, but a lot of rain. So we'll be watching the potential for some localized flooding, especially west and north of Appleton as we go through time here in Outagamie County and even around the Green Bay area and west, right along Highway 54. It's where a lot of this heavy rainfall is coming down right now. And as you get those heavy showers tracking over the same areas over and over again, you start to see standing water on roadways. It's starting to pond in low-lying areas, and it's definitely something that we'll be keeping a close eye on. But this storm is going to be moving into the west side of Green Bay here, getting into eastern parts of Outagamie County, and still seeing a very concerning-looking notch down there at the bottom of that radar image. Steve, an update?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a shot from our Green Bay sky cam, and we pointed it to the west past the Brown County Courthouse, and you can see the ominous skies on the horizon. These thunderstorms that David has been tracking, they're getting closer and closer to what's going on. So we want to go back here to the radar and see what's going on across northeast Wisconsin. And we've got these severe thunderstorms that are approaching from the west, and they have a history of producing some strong straight line winds up in excess of 60 miles an hour. And we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for the Brown County area till 6:45. And looks like we're not getting our. Let's see if we can get our map to pop back up here.
Hit clear at the
Yeah,
very
I just
bottom.
need to clear.
And then go
There we
green
go.
there.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. See, this is I got a second pair of eyes on me here. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit closer here to this severe thunderstorm warning that we have here for the Brown County area. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to see if I can put a nice little track on it here. And we've got the heaviest part of that cell in the Seymour area, so moving off to the east and southeast at about 45 miles an hour. So assuming that it continues its track, there you go, good job. Hitting the Seymour area in just basically the next couple minutes here, coming into the Pittsfield area around 6:15, Howard at 6:23, Ashwaubenon 6:24, in De Pere at 6:26, Alloway 6:28. You know what? I kind of want to mention Alloway because over at St. James Park, coming up this evening, there's a pretty large concert There's a lot of people who are going to St. James Park for this concert. And a heads up, by the time we get to about, say, 6:30 or maybe shortly after that, this damaging thunderstorm has the potential of coming right over top. And so we want people to play it safe and make sure they're not caught outside, especially when there's the possibility of some high winds that could be up around 50 or 60 miles an hour. So again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning. This goes until 6:45. This is for Brown County, the northeastern portion of Outagamie County. Looks like we've got southern Oconto County still under a warning, and that tornado warned cell that is up in Oconto County, that is still in effect until 6:45. We'll get you in a little bit closer here to what's going on. And there's still a notch, if you look at the radar here, just to the east of Lena. And I'll get in really close if I can get the radar to do what I want it to do here. We'll get in really close here. So yeah, so once you get east of Lena, you could see that notch, which on the latest sweep of the radar kind of disappears a little bit, but it's still definitely some rotation going on there. As we switch over to the velocity, yeah, I'm not seeing as strong of a couplet. There's a little bit of that green, but more of the red where the wind is blowing away from the radar site. Obviously, the storm is passing north of Green Bay, so the winds are kind of blowing out ahead of the storm to the east and to the northeast. But in general, this does not seem to have the same kind of rotation that it had just a little bit ago, Emily.
Yeah, and David looked like he was seeing some new information. David?
I'm curious what that storm looks like with the shear product there on ViperMax, just to see if we've got any brighter colors showing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weak. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, we have a confirmed warning now?
Yeah, it just
so
switched to a
there has to be
tornado
some
warning.
sort of,
Yeah.
there we go. So we've got ourselves here a confirmed tornado warning.
Really quick.
Why don't we just switch?
Yeah, swap.
You know what you wanted to hit up there. All right, so it looks like that there is definitely some strong winds passing to the north of Oconto there. And this is all in association of what was definitely some circulation. It looks like a confirmed tornado. We're working to get information on what's going on with this here as this storm passes to the north of Oconto. And so, again, the folks who are in and around Oconto up towards Peshtigo, you definitely want to be seeking your safe place. If you have a basement, that is where you want to go. You want to definitely be in the lowest level of your home and put as many walls away between you and the outside. So it looks like this rotation is, looks like it's not too far from County Road A and School Road. So we're kind of looking here at County Road A as it passes south of Cullen and near Maple Grove School Road and just to the east of Hillcrest Road. And so again, this is all moving off towards the Bay Shore at about 45 miles an hour. So you folks along the North Bay Shore Road there, you definitely want to be in your storm shelter. In your basement, if you've got one, and you are in your basement, you want to try to avoid being in the corners. You want to be in the middle of your basement. And we encourage people who don't have basements, who have, just, like a ranch style home or something with no basement. You want to be on the lowest level of your home, away from windows, and an interior room, preferably like a bathroom with no windows is a good choice. For some people, that's a pantry or perhaps it's a closet. It really just depends on your home. So again, this is a confirmed tornado warning. So somebody has spotted funnel clouds or a tornado on the ground.
It was a public report
A
of a
public
tornado between
report.
Lena and Oconto.
Okay, from Lena and
It's what was called in the
Oconto.
Weather Service.
Okay, thank you, David, for passing that along. So that goes until 6:15, and so this warning goes for another 7 minutes. And it'll be interesting to see, now that it's a confirmed tornado warning, how the Weather Service is going to play this, because this cell is going to be pushing out over the bay really soon, and obviously we don't have to warn for people who are out on the water in regards to duck and cover, but it'll be interesting to see if this is going to be able to hold this rotation, if people are still seeing a tornado as it comes across the bay, and you folks in Door County need to watch the situation very, very closely. So again, a confirmed tornado warning. This is for eastern Oconto County till 6:15. And this is just part of a large line of cells, of a squall line here that is moving its way across the area. Let's kind of widen our view here. And so you could see that line of storms is chugging along pretty quickly. You can see how those heavy storms are getting closer and closer to the Green Bay area. We're now under a severe thunderstorm warning for Brown County, and I believe that's till 6:45. Yes, it is. And that line of storms is now right over top of Pulaski and across out of Gamey County, back into southern Wapaka County, and continuing to move off towards the east at about 40 or 45 miles an hour. Now, I want to also mention real quickly, we've got Air Venture down in Oshkosh. It would appear that these storms might clip you, not so much in the next hour, but maybe after that, the tail end of this squall line that's kind of making its way through Washera County. If it holds together, that might be something that bears some watching for folks over at Air Venture. At 8 o'clock tonight, there's a large night air show. And I know a lot of people are going to be heading down there and getting ready for that. You definitely want to keep an eye on these thunderstorms. While the bulk of the action is passing to your north, it is quite possible the tail end of this could sweep across the Fox Valley and might be very close to the start of that air show. David, why don't you go ahead and pass along some information?
Yes, I just want to take another look at the storm that's really over O'Connell right now. This is the confirmed tornado. The tornado portion of the storm will be moving out over the bay momentarily, but I've been talking about this throughout the afternoon. In addition to that tornado threat, notice the bowing of the wind, where you see the radar returns, the reds kind of surging out ahead of the rest of the line. If you took my finger, just watch the line go down through O'Connell County and down towards Little Swamico, you can notice right into the O'Connell area, there's a little bulge in that storm line, and that is going to be where you've got the potential for some very strong winds. So this will be moving out over the bay, but eventually this storm will reemerge into Door County, and likely that it's somewhere between Sturgeon Bay and Egg Harbor. So anybody, whether you're on the bay side or the lake side of Door County in that zone between Sturgeon Bay and Egg Harbor, first alert that this storm is headed right into your area. It has been the most intense thunderstorm we've seen along this line all afternoon long. This was the same storm that prompted a tornado warning back into Marathon County before we even got on the air talking about these thunderstorms. This one had a warning on it. It has had a warning, whether it's a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, the entire time we have been on the air here with Action 2 News. So a very intense thunderstorm coming out of O'Connell County and moving out over the bay and eventually should reemerge into Door County. And if the speeds hold, it would be crossing the bay within about a half an hour or so. So you'd be looking at 6:30, 6:35 for it to get to Sturgeon Bay. Likely that the core of the storm will end up just north of Sturgeon Bay, but you certainly could be looking at some gusty winds and definitely some heavy downpours, lots of thunder and lightning along that. So again, Sturgeon Bay to Egg Harbor, anywhere between 6:35, 6:45, so within the next 20 to 30 minutes, essentially, is how long it will take this storm to cross the bay and then make it back into Door County. So this is the most intense portion of that storm for sure. Emily?
It looks like the National Weather Service will be allowing that tornado warning to expire at 6:15. So just a couple minutes away, but as David was saying, still very important to be aware of the system and be aware that this is headed your way, especially if you're over on the other side of the bay here. So this is making its way out towards the water now, so I do expect that warning to be dropped at least while it makes its way across the water. But then once we get onto the other side, if we do see any redevelopment there. So I guess just looking ahead here, Little Sturgeon, Sturgeon Bay, Institute, Jacksonport, and even Egg Harbor, you guys are potentially going to be next in line for this if this is able to hold together.
Carlsville up towards Egg Harbor in particular. I think Sturgeon Bay and north up towards Egg Harbor is probably going to be the area where we need to keep a very sharp eye on this cell as it comes across the bay. And do we have a new severe thunderstorm watch here, or warning rather? I'm sorry. Severe thunderstorm warning just got issued. This is for portions of, whoops, let's do this again. Marinette County, and this is till 7 o'clock. Let me see if I can slide the map here. So we're looking at straight line wind damage here north of where that circulation was and around Peshtigo and Marinette. Winds could be up around 60 plus miles an hour. And you know what, whether this is something that is tornadic or it is straight line winds, you know what, if it's toppling over trees, if it's taking out power, you know what, you may not even you may not even care if it's straight line or if it's tornadic, because high winds, whether it's circulating or it's going straight line, it does damage. So whether it's a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, and this includes you folks in around the Green Bay area where you're under a severe thunderstorm warning till 6:45, take this situation very seriously as these thunderstorms get closer to the area. You know what we're going to do is we're going to widen out our view once again, and let's just play this. And
Steve, one thing that I would like to highlight as well, now that that storm is making its way off into the water here. Another one that I want to highlight that I know the National Weather Service is keeping an eye on is headed into kind of in between Seymour and Freedom right now. Not necessarily as much of a tornado risk there, but we are seeing some really intense winds. So switching this one back over to our velocity, and this gets a little bit tricky because as we get closer to downtown Green Bay, this is what we call the cone of silence. So essentially when we get too close to that radar beam itself, it gets a little bit messy, as you can see here. But as we kind of look at this, very, very intense wind speeds that are going to be moving into the area. And so especially near Seymour and Freedom, I saw a report of around a 50-mile-per-hour wind gust reported. Looks like another one out of Seymour and Outagamie County, wind gust up to around 66 miles an hour. So very, very intense winds there as well. So anyone that is in De Pere, closer to Seymour, Freedom, that area, you guys are going to be seeing some very strong winds here too, and certainly enough wind to be able to cause damage, even if it's not necessarily going to be that tornado damage. So I am going to switch this over really quickly actually to our radar out of Milwaukee to see if we can see a better look at this one. So again, looking at over near De Pere, Oneida, we're going to be seeing this storm pushing in here pretty soon. Looks like the heaviest of it making its way back over the water, and at this point that tornado warning has expired. Steve?
Yeah, since that tornado warning has expired, we're going to wrap up our extended weather coverage. We will continue to watch these severe thunderstorm warnings. We'll watch that cell coming across the bay and see if it does issue another tornado warning into Door County. That hasn't happened yet, but David, Emily, and I will keep a very sharp eye on the situation. Now, we are going to try to get back into our 6 o'clock newscast with Cammie and with Chris, and we'll keep a sharp eye and break back in if we need to. Guys, the anchor desk, are you guys ready to jump on in here?
Yeah, we're going to